ICE is heading our way tonight. The U.S. puts pressure on Russia, and a Norman resident is in jail tonight after an attack. This is OU Nightly.
The OU Norman campus will be closed Wednesday, February 23rd.
Here we go, Oklahoma. Another round of winter weather is about to hit the OU campus. Thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Mady Daddario.
And I'm Tyler DeLuca. We begin tonight with the ice and snow headed our way. Storm warnings are already in place, and OU has closed campus for tomorrow, making all
Though
classes.
it may look warm out here right now, I can assure you that it is not. We've got air temperatures dipped now into the lower 30s, combined with a northerly wind, leaving our wind chills in the lower 20s out here. So I can assure you it certainly feels very, very cold. If I step out of the way, you can see behind me the typical hustle and bustle of campus. This is going to be a much different scene come tomorrow, as classes have already been moved online virtually here at OU tomorrow. So again, this is really going to look much different tomorrow, on top of the fact that we will begin to see some of that winter precipitation. We're in a situation right now where 76 out of 77 Oklahoma counties are under some sort of winter weather advisory. We have a wind chill advisory for much of the west and northwest part of Oklahoma. We have a winter weather advisory for everybody else here in central, and then pretty much anywhere east and northeast of Interstate 35, we're looking at a winter storm warning. So coming up in just a few minutes, Hannah Gard's going to break down the entire forecast. We've got lots to talk about in terms of totals and accumulations, who will see what and when. All that's coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Colton. And we know that icy weather is going to cause some slick streets.
And the city of Norman is already mapping out a plan to apply sand and salt to roads. OU Nightly's Zaria Oates is live with the latest.
Thanks, Mady. Yeah, I'm out here where the city of Norman keeps their sand and snow trucks. Now, we're making sure that we're going to stay clear of the roads, but if you absolutely have to drive on these roads, make sure you're riding on primary and secondary roads, because they'll be taking this sand and salt out there to salt the roads. Now, the Oklahoma Department of Transportation will be taking care of the highways, but the city of Norman will be taking care of those primary roads. Reporting live, Zaria Oates, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Zaria. New information from the White House when it comes to tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Tonight we know President Joe Biden is now calling this the beginning of a Russian invasion. Use of the word invasion sets the stage for what Biden says will be a wave of economic sanctions against Russia. NATO allies say they will contribute as well. Sanctions are the West's main tool for pushing back because they have ruled out taking on the Russian military.
So I'm going to begin to impose sanctions in response far beyond the steps we and our allies and partners implemented in 2014. And if Russia goes further with this invasion, we stand prepared to go further as with sanctions.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that canceling the meeting with Russia's foreign minister.
A former doctor is on trial for multiple counts of murder. Brooklyn Sweet has that story and the rest of today's headlines from around the world.
Thanks, Tyler. Today, the jury in Ahmaud Arbery's trial found the 3 men guilty on all counts of a federal hate crime. This verdict backs the prosecutor's case that the men attempted to kidnap the 25-year-old while he was out for a jog on a public street due to the color of his skin.
It was a sense of a small victory, but we as a family would never get victory because Ahmaud is gone forever.
The men are already serving a life sentence after being convicted of Arbery's murder and are now facing a second life sentence for the federal hate crime. Today, a former Ohio doctor will stand trial accused of murdering 14 former patients. An investigation was launched at Mount Carmel Hospital after reports that Dr. William Husel allegedly gave patients deadly doses of fentanyl. His lawyer claims it was administered as comfort care to those who were near the end of their life, and the doctor was easing their pain. Husel has pleaded not guilty. As COVID numbers and hospitalizations decrease, health officials say getting another booster shot could be beneficial to keeping the momentum going. The CDC's updated guidelines suggest adults with weakened immune systems should consider getting their 4th COVID shot. The next booster timeline goes hand in hand with flu season, making it more convenient for the public to receive both immunizations at the same time. And the Supreme Court officially ended former President Donald Trump's legal battle to block document turnover to the January 6th committee. Tyler, Mady, back to you.
Thanks, Brooklyn. A Norman resident is in jail tonight after a premeditated attack on his partner earlier this month. OU Nightly's Jessie Klinger joins us live with why the story is now drawing local attention. Jessie?
Norman police responded to a 911 call made by a concerned neighbor just 2 weeks ago and made an arrest. The story is just now gaining public interest based on the weapon used, a common kitchen utensil you may have at home. 25-year-old Jacob Showalter is facing felony charges after violently attacking his alleged boyfriend with a wooden rolling pin on February 7th. Although the victim survived the attack, police say this incident surely could have been deadly.
We received an initial call from a neighbor, and the victim had actually ran to the neighbor's house seeking help. And so officers were on scene pretty quickly.
When the police arrived, officers saw the victim had several lacerations and visible bruising on his head and neck.
When we arrived on scene, the suspect was outside of the home, seated in the area of the garage. The victim came home from work, and once inside the home was encountered by the suspect, who attacked him with what he described as a wooden rolling pin several times, causing multiple lacerations to the head.
The victim was struck 6 times with the rolling pin. However, he only sustained non-life-threatening injuries. According to court documents, Showalter later told police he had pre-planned the attack and hoped that he would be able to kill him. The victim was released from the hospital the same day, and so far no new details have been released. Now, Mady and Tyler, Showalter remains in the Cleveland County Detention Center with bond set at $50,000, and his preliminary hearing is scheduled for next week, March 1st. Reporting live, Jessie Klinger, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Jessie. With tensions mounting more and more between Russia and Ukraine, one of the world's leading cryptocurrency is dropping in value. Learn more on how the conflict will continue to impact the fall of Bitcoin when OU Nightly returns.
Plus, if you are in the market for a house, be prepared for some higher prices than usual. Those stories and more next on OU Nightly. With concerns about Russia and Ukraine, many Americans are wondering how it will affect the economy. Olivia Dague has some answers from the experts in today's Money Matters. Olivia?
Tyler, Bitcoin and many other cryptocurrencies are falling as a result of the tension at the Russian border and economic sanctions imposed from the U.S. and NATO. Early this morning, Bitcoin was trading at a little more than $36,000, dropping 6.5% in the last 24 hours, according to CoinDesk. Bitcoin fell below $40,000 this weekend, and as tensions continue to rise, experts expect the slide to continue. The currency has lost almost half its value since November, when it hit a high of almost $69,000. And we're smack in the middle of tax season, and many Americans are anxious to get returns, but Uncle Sam says you may have to wait a bit. The IRS is facing a long list of problems on top of the pandemic, including short staffing, old technology, and the early surge of tax filings. To conquer the backlog of tax returns and address taxpayer confusion, the IRS says it's creating surge teams, essentially redirecting employees into entry-level positions. Even so, returns may take longer this year. And if you're looking to buy a house, you may have to face a tough time, especially here in the South. Home prices hit a high we haven't seen since the end of the Reagan administration. That's 1984. The S&P Home Price Index says home costs shot up nearly 19% last year. And experts say price gains were seen nationwide in 2021, but the South and Southeast saw the biggest spike in both above 25%. Phoenix had the highest annual gains in December, and Tampa took second place, followed by Miami. However, a recent study from Realtor.com says in some cities, buying a starter home could be cheaper than renting. So Mady and Tyler, if you're wanting to live in Birmingham, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, or St. Louis, skip the apartment. That's all from me. Back to you.
Thanks, Olivia. When we return, one of OU's biggest events to give back to the community is encouraging students to start signing up.
And Hannah, the ice might not be here yet, but the cold absolutely is.
Yeah, guys, we'll see those cool temperatures throughout the rest of today. But as we wake up tomorrow, those wind chills are going to be absolutely brutal, and we could see some ice starting to come down and accumulating on the roads there. I'll have more on that after the break. Welcome back to OU Nightly. We saw that cold air come in overnight last night along with some storms, but the next couple of days we're going to be seeing winter weather. So we will have that wintry mixed precip bringing hazardous road conditions over the next few days, mostly for central and southern Oklahoma as well as parts of west north Texas. And this is mostly going to be from tomorrow morning through Thursday night. So right now we have a lot of watches and warnings out, wind chill advisories, mostly for tomorrow morning through Wednesday evening, as well as winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. That's going to be in effect until Thursday evening. Now, what could we see here for that winter precip tomorrow? Mostly sleet and snow across central Oklahoma and most of Oklahoma, but in the southeast is where we could see that sleet as well as freezing rain. So if we look at the timeline here, tomorrow, early in the morning, we could see that widespread sleet as well as some snow north of Oklahoma City. That's going to continue to move out throughout the day. We'll see mostly a cloudy day throughout Wednesday, then early Thursday morning, once again, more swaths of that sleet, as well as that freezing rain down in southeastern Oklahoma before we see that clear out by Friday. But for those sleet totals, the highest totals are going to be around McAllister. We could see more than 1/10 of an inch of sleet, and we could see that possible across central Oklahoma, but for the most part, it's going to be farther to the east. And those freezing rain totals, most of us seeing up to 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain, some places seeing higher. That's really what's going to be causing us those issues with the roadways. Now, how does this happen? It depends on how much warm air is in the atmosphere. So if we do have that warm air above the surface, we see sleet and freezing rain, but that snow is not so much what we're going to be seeing tomorrow because of that warm air. Now, for our ice accumulation threats, though, once we have 1/10 of an inch, we could see those slick sidewalks, icy bridges and overpasses, and ice on trees. But once we get above that is when we really see those dangerous conditions, slick ice on the roads, numerous power outages, and higher than 1/2 an inch of ice is when we start to see trees coming down and widespread power outages. So this is possible tomorrow, but we're mostly looking at those lesser threats. Now, for our wind chills, tomorrow, waking up, seeing wind chills below 0, certainly dangerous conditions. Cool throughout the day until Thursday morning. We'll see those back up into the teens. It's certainly going to be very, very cold, though. And right now, 35 degrees cooler than we were yesterday. Those northerly winds really keeping us on the cooler side, and our temperatures in the 20s and 30s for much of the state, certainly feeling very, very cool. We're still seeing that sunshine, though. In Oklahoma City, 31 degrees right now, but look at that wind chill. Feeling very cold. It's actually feeling like 20 degrees. Most of us seeing wind chills in the teens across the state. So we'll start to see that cold air throughout the rest of this evening, dipping into the 20s by 9 o'clock. Tomorrow, waking up to frigid temperatures in the teens and 20s across the state. So the rest of this week, after we see that weather pattern tomorrow, we're going to stay cool into the weekend because we will have another cold air mass. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Hannah. Signups for the University of Oklahoma's official day of community service has begun. The big event is an organization that encourages students to participate and give back to their community. Each year, over 6,000 students are sent across the Oklahoma City metro area for a day filled of service. OU clubs and organizations are encouraged to become big event project groups as OU competes with other universities around the country to see how many students they can get to sign up.
We have a really cool opportunity. Everyone has so many different gifts and talents and skill sets, and we use all of those together to foster this community, to build these relationships so that we can better give back to the surrounding community that gives us so much.
Signups close March 11th, and the big event hopes to see you serve in the community on April 2nd.
And one college basketball coach went viral and landed himself a hefty suspension due to his unsportsmanlike conduct. And Brigg, I hear that one of OU's premier programs swept this weekend.
That's right, guys. One Big Ten head coach got into a fight after the game, causing a season-long ban. And in local sports news, OU softball continues to impress. More on sports next. Hello and welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Brigg Bates and it's time for sports. The Oklahoma men's basketball team is heading west to Lubbock for another Big 12 matchup. The Texas Tech Red Raiders are hosting the Sooners tonight for their second matchup of the season. The Raiders look to split the season series after falling to the Sooners in Norman 70-55. Coach Moser and the boys hope to break their 3-game losing streak on the road. Tip-off is at 7.
Because with this many bodies, you got to stay fresh. We're going to do some live today, but not much. You got to stay fresh. So that's the part that I've told you guys a lot. I think about Coach Majerus, because you just, when you're trying to teach and teach and teach, you just want practice time, and it just simply don't have it.
The Sooners women's basketball team started the season off hot, but have been on the struggle bus recently. After losing 3 straight games, the Sooners head down to Funkytown, Fort Worth tomorrow to take on the TCU Horned Frogs. The last time these two teams met was at the LNC when the Sooners won 100-71. The reigning national champs Oklahoma softball team has been unstoppable to start the season with a 10-0 record. Patty Gasso and the ladies have bombarded every tournament, outscoring their opponents 95-2. Sooners star heavy hitter Jocelyn Allo has been crushing the ball, tallying 95 career home runs and tying the NCAA record for most career home runs. The record was previously held by Sooner legend Lauren Chamberlain. Jocelyn Allo was also named National Player of the Week and Big 12 Player of the Week. A Big Ten matchup between the Michigan Wolverines and the Wisconsin Badgers took a turn for the worse this past Sunday. The Badgers were up 14 with under a minute when Wisconsin head coach called a timeout to save a turnover. Michigan head coach Juwan Howard did not like the late call, and when the two coaches met after the game, chaos broke out. Howard struck Badgers assistant head coach Joe Krabenhoft in the face, which began a brawl between the two teams. Howard has been suspended 5 games along with a $40,000 fine. With rumors circulating about the next move, Aaron Rodgers made an emotional post to his Instagram last night thanking his important people in his life. Many thought we would lose an all-time NFL great to retirement today on the Pat McAfee Show, but Rodgers declined his retirement, and so the rumors surrounding Rodgers will continue to go unanswered. After years of unequal pay, the U.S. women's national soccer team can finally feel equal. The team has settled their class action equal pay lawsuit against the USSF for a total of $24 million. The players will receive a payment of $22 million. And a Virginia teen is defying all odds in pursuit of his wrestling career.
It has been a story of a lifetime.
Adonis Lattimore defying nothing is impossible this past weekend, taking home the Virginia High School Wrestling State Championship. Adonis was born without a right leg and only half of his left leg. And guys, Adonis has announced he plans to wrestle at the next level. This kid is an absolute stud.
Thanks, Brigg. When we come back, find out how one California couple accidentally made history over the weekend.
The couple was the subject of a milestone marriage in Las Vegas. More on how when OU Nightly returns.
I'm Emily Faith at the OU Nightly Update Desk. With COVID cases on the decline across the United States, the Oklahoma City County Health Department announced this afternoon that all COVID-19 testing will be paused until further notice. However, testing centers can still be found at testokc.com if you are experiencing symptoms or have been exposed to the virus. That's all for me. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Emily. Clark County, Nevada, which includes the city of Las Vegas, celebrated their 5 millionth marriage license this weekend. The milestone license went to an unsuspecting couple from California, and it came with a few perks.
Luis Pantoja and Myra Ramirez were the lucky couple, and they went home with some major gifts. The newlyweds went home with a free wedding ring and more. And Hannah, it does not seem like Oklahomans are going to be as lucky with this weather coming in.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to be lucky. It's going to be very cold once again tomorrow. Wind chills below 0 when we wake up tomorrow. And this is what we're going to be dealing with throughout the day. Once we see freezing rain and sleet, our overpasses are really going to become very icy. So be careful with that as you head out on your commute tomorrow. Hopefully you just don't have to leave. But again, our temperature is going to be in the 20s. See those lows in the 20s once again overnight Thursday, and we could see that freezing rain and sleet throughout Thursday evening. But after that, we're really not warming up much into the weekend. We'll see those temperatures still in the 40s and 50s by Sunday until next week when we'll finally see those warmer temperatures. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Hannah, and thank you for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication on the campus of the University of Oklahoma.
A reminder that campus is closed tomorrow due to the pending ice storm. Class will be held virtually. Stay safe and stay warm. Good night.